For this time lapse, I thought it'd be more interesting to run through my thought process while I was sculpting. I started from a sphere this time, which I don't really do because I don't really see the value in it anymore, but I thought it'd be fun to like start essentially from scratch. I came into this sculpt not fully knowing what I wanted to make. I had like a couple parameters in mind, like I wanted to make a head. I just wanted to sculpt a head. I usually start with like just roughing out the face. It will look like handsome Squidward for an incredibly long time, just kind of like stuck in the ugly phase for what feels like forever, just pushing and pulling things until I figure out kind of what I want to make. It doesn't help that I have no idea what I'm making at this point either. I just start by just like creating the forms of any face. I do have reference to the side, but it's like loose reference, like of just like people's faces and what I might be interested in making in that, but it's just like a collage of different faces that I like have some vague interest in like replicating. At this point I've decided that I want it to be kind of stylized. I've been thinking that maybe I should like paint it towards the end. I'm like leaning towards making it male. Like I think I'm about like, if I had to put a number on it, like 70% sure that I want it to be a guy. That thought was way off because I very quickly went back to sculpting a woman. I had a lot of female reference that I picked up, and I had like some haircuts that I wanted to try out, like try sculpting and see, like testing and playing with. I didn't end up really liking those haircuts, and the whole exploration section was pretty long, so I ended up cutting it out too. I really like the idea of having like a bandana bun, and that's like the main haircut that I thought that the final sculpt should have, but I didn't know what kind of hair texture I was going to go for initially. Initially I thought I would be making just the head, but then I kind of decided that it might be better if I made like a full bust, but I'm not using Dynamesh at this point, so I just kind of used the subdivision, knowing that it could look a little janky, but since like it was pretty high up, I could hide it for the most part. As to the design, I kind of had like a couple of things that I picked up from Pinterest that I thought would be like kind of cute, but at this point I'm not really like sold on the hair. Like I'd seen like this like kind of like haircut just like on my feed and thought, that might be fun, but as I started sculpting it, a mixture of, it sounds like too much work for us, what I consider a sketch, and I didn't really like the way it was looking. So I decided to add spirals to make it look like she had curly hair, and I ended up really liking the way that looked. Alright, and now I've started painting. I had no idea whether I wanted to like paint in Zbrush or like retopologize really quickly and then take it to my to Blender, but I didn't want to retopologize. I never want to retopologize, so I just I could have also just unwrapped it in Zbrush and then send it to Blender where it's nicer to paint. Zbrush has paint tools, but I don't like them as much. They kind of feel a bit more clunky. I'd prefer to be in like Blender or 3D Coat or even Substance, but I think Zbrush in this case was pretty okay. It wasn't like totally terrible. I got my brush parameters set in a way that I didn't think sucked. I lost some of the footage, so like she just suddenly has hair like everywhere and is like slightly more finished. I really enjoy painting, so I usually just kind of err towards painting in most projects that I do instead of having it look more like a 3D model 100% of the way. I kind of just use the 3D model as a base to let me paint. So that's why I chose to just kind of sketch in Zbrush. With like the hair shadows, I was kind of loose with it, just like the implication that the hair has shadow doesn't have to be like perfect. That people will rarely ever pay attention to the fact that it's perfect. I don't really like having perfectly drawn art, like ever. I kind of like things scrappy and messy. I'm not personally that interested in having something that looks quote unquote complete. And yeah, that's roughly my thought process when I'm sculpting. It might seem a bit like everywhere, but that's just kind of how I approach it. I could have more structure and formula, but I think that kind of takes away from the fun. Like, I know how to do it in a formulaic way, but it's less interesting when it is formulaic for me personally, so I kind of just like throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what happens, seeing what sticks. But if you got this far, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll try and post again soon, I guess.